What up, though? This your brother Mike X.
My killers got them suits on like followers of Farrakhan.
And welcome to the 17 Winners Podcast, the realest podcast in the game.
I'm the jig in my city, yeah. I'm not saying they not good, nah. I'm just saying I'm the realest. Facts.
And my guest for the day is Mario Bueno of American Dream Financial out of Detroit, Michigan. He is also my guy, my brother. We walked the yard together. We spent many times together in the street and in the penitentiary, but in the street doing a lot of things in different cities and towns. Bro came down there to Dallas with me, and we put in some work and shook up the reform community. So welcome to the show, bro. Introduce yourself to him, bro. What's your prison number?
165-821.
165?
821. I haven't said that number in a long time.
Man, yeah. Hey, that's a new part of the podcast where I have people get a prison number if they can remember it. I spoke to a sister the other day. She couldn't even remember her prison number. I was like, all praise be to Allah. Because, you know, that mug be stamped in our brains, carrying it around for so long. So, yeah, in your introduction, bro, give us a little bit of backstory, man. How much time you do when you get that number. Know that in my podcast, I'm not asking you about no crimes that have been committed that have not been found guilty of. So I don't want to talk about nothing that you got away with or nothing that is not on the paperwork. You feel me? Just give them a little backstory on you.
So unfortunately, at 16, I was a stick-up kid back in '95. Unfortunately, I robbed and took a man's life, Samuel, during a drug deal. I was eventually convicted. They first charged me with felony murder on robbery, then eventually convicted of second-degree murder, served from 16 to 36 in 16 different adult institutions. I was released in 2014. I've been home now 8 years. By the grace and glory of God, I've been able to, after denied several times at different universities, I was accepted at Mike Ilitch School of Business in the accounting program, where I ended up graduating with my accounting degree, bachelor's in science and accounting in 2016, and just recently I graduated the master's of science in criminology from U of M, now currently I'm enrolled full time at the Wayne State Mike Ilitch School of Business. I'm in the master's program for financial accounting, where I'm training to take the 4-part CPA exam to become a certified public accountant. I'm a co-owner, co-founder, and accountant at American Dream Financial. We're at the corner at Michigan and Illinois, and we opened up last November. By the grace and glory of God, we've been able to acquire and garner and gain a lot of great small to large size companies within the Southwest community. And I'm definitely humbled and proud of what you're doing, Mike.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, it sounds so good when you relay your resume out like that, bro. You sound so accomplished. I be feeling like I ain't even working hard enough. My big brother grinding out here. But I personally have watched you grinding since you've been home. Matter of fact, how long have you been home for my guests, for my listening audience?
8 years now. 8 years.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and in terms of employment, it's been challenging. I think if you look at my employment record, it's more so creating companies and creating, I think, filling voids where there's voids are and becoming service providers. But we were able to do some great things with Luck Inc. and service about 4 or 5 government contracts. I've been able to. I'm published with one of my publications is Never Going Back, a trauma-informed guide for a successful reentry, in which I became a service provider under my company Transformation for Training LLC, in which I was actually a service provider for all the juvenile prison reentry, especially in COVID. It was a blessing to be able to go up into those juvenile prisons and mentor them and take them out to lunch as they were in a step-down program after serving years in prison, a lot of them for murder and serious things. In addition, I was appointed by the House of Representatives back in 2000 and I want to say 17 to service the District 9 of the state. I was going up into Cody, Dixon, McKenzie, over off Joy Road and training high-risk youth. I was appointed by Mayor Duggan of Detroit as District 6 manager, where I was able to service the District 6 community. And I was also appointed as an administrative grad assistant for the director of the School of Criminology and Criminal Justice at U of M. So, it's you look at my resume and you're like, wow, but then again, I couldn't even get approved to become a Uber driver.
Hey, bro, I swear it's crazy that you even said that, because I ain't even got to the point of asking you your challenges as far as employment and housing and all of those things, right? Because I was still going to stay on your profession and your passion, bro, because you listed a long list of accomplishments and things that you do, but I know for a fact your passion is, reaching the youth and this reentry thing. So elaborate a little bit more about Luck Inc. We already had your partner, Rick Speck, on here before. So I just want to hear kind of your perspective of the Luck Inc. and the origins of that and how that developed.
Yeah, Luck Inc. It really developed because a group of us at Jackson, including you, remember we were teaching the youngsters, the young 16 to 20-year-old violent population how to resolve internal and invariably external conflict.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think that we found our platform and our passion in there, and so when we came home, Luck Inc. really came together we came home staggeredly, in terms of time of release, but eventually we all came home and we realized, we had a big void missing, and that void was being able to help young angry men resolve internal conflict.
Yes, sir.
And so we started volunteering and helping. First, we partnered with the Juvenile Assessment Center of the Tri-County area. They're basically they place the juvenile offenders in different juvenile prisons. So they're like the gatekeeper. And so we partnered with them, and Benny Napoleon at the time, the Wayne County Sheriff, was alive. He had a rock in which was all 17-year-olds on there, and it was dog eat dog. So they were spending like a year in that county, and they come home and it was having a reentry challenges, significant reentry challenges. So we started like mentoring them and helping with the youngsters, but we weren't really trying to do reentry because at the end of the day, we were just walking that reentry path. So we ourselves were trying to learn how to reintegrate.
Yeah,
so
sure.
so that's how Luck Inc. really started. And eventually, we got a contract to train some River Rouge Middle School youngsters, and then eventually, we started getting contracts to help with reentry. We kind of, as we individually and as a collective evolved, I think our ability to provide services also evolved.
Yes,
that's how Luck Inc. started, and then eventually, you never end up where you start. So obviously,
right.
We all had to go on our own ways and do this and do that and
Yes,
become
sir.
accomplished. And so it was definitely, I said, we employed at one time 12 staff of that, I think as a collective, we had over 300, 400 years of imprisonment, but we did good things and we helped a lot of, both youth and 65, 70-year-old men who had served 40
returning
years.
citizens and everything. Yes, sir.
Yeah. We grown men. Whether it was grown men that served 40 years in prison from the age of 15 or a youngster that was 15
Yes, sir.
and destined for 40 years in prison.
Okay, so let me switch gears a little bit because, a lot of us who did time, especially those of us who did a lot of time and seen a lot during that time, we tend to not speak on what we've seen. It's literally a rule that you don't speak on what you see. But in doing this podcast, I felt like I've been going through like a therapy since I've been interviewing other people that have similar experiences. It feels like I'm able to release or let go of some of the experiences that I've had. So with that being said, what are your feelings on therapy, your idea on therapy, or have you tried therapy since you've been home? Because you did, 19 years, bro?
Yeah, it was about 19 years I did.
Yeah.
It's deep you said that because the workbook that I did was Never Going Back, a trauma-informed guide for successful reentry.
Yes, sir.
And you notice that key word, trauma, a trauma-informed guide. And so it was everything I wish I would have known before I came home. And specifically, I wish I would have known the Latin, the not unseen, the unfelt, the unaware trauma that was imprinted in I think into my subconscious throughout those almost 20 years in prison from 16 to 36.
Yes,
it was a lot of trauma that was built in there because at the end of the day, like, while you're in the midst of it all, you don't really, you can't recognize it because the demands of the moment do not allow you to recognize, I think, that emotional and mental trauma that
That's a
prison inherently scars a person with.
That's
so,
it
was coming home that I really realized the inherent trauma and I've tried therapy, and I think I'll try it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we all need a therapeutic environment when we reintegrate. That's the most important part. I think it's very important that you don't go back to the very environment that produced you.
Man.
But I think there's a lot of inherent triggers in just going back to the environment that produced you before, pre-incarceration.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Damn, appreciate that. So with that being said, I prefaced this section of the show with that because I'm going to ask you to walk back into your trauma. Let's go back into the penitentiary, a day in the life in the penitentiary. Now, for you, it's a little bit, more unique than, say, a shorter timer. Like, so for me and you, our day in the life in the penitentiary changed literally from year to year. It might have been just fucking off on the yard for the first couple of years, all the way up to actually organizing men at the end of the, you know what I mean? So like, I guess give me a day in the life breakdown of like your routine when you got to the point of, finding yourself and having your days planned out, knowing what you was.
Yeah, no doubt. So going in at 16, and I did almost 3 years in solitary before the age of 21. But with that being said, and I was kicked out of 9 prisons. Out of 16 prisons I was out, I was kicked out of 9.
Hold on, stop. You got to stop right there because that sounds foreign as hell to anybody listening. How do you get kicked out of prison? What does that mean?
Well, every place I went, I just marched to the beat of my own drum.
Yes,
Like they offered to pay me $30 a month. I said, I'll give you 60. Just stay the hell away from myself. You feel me? Like,
yeah.
I was like Hurricane, but that movie Hurricane, but I was like his crooked brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah.
So real talk, it took about 10 years for me to really, but if you really think about it, insurance rates, and even you get a positive point on your behavioral screening in any Department of Corrections facility when you turn 26.
Yes,
so
sir.
it wasn't until I really turned 26 that I think physiologically speaking, the maturational growth, that it really became complete, and so also, in addition to that, I was becoming comfortable with who Mario was.
Yeah.
Like anyone struggles with their identity.
Yes,
and
sir.
who they are and who they want to become, let alone be going from adult prison to adult male prison that's hyper aggressive, in which you got to become something that you was never designed to become. Like you got to become like so. This one professor came out with this term called a conscious sociopath.
Yeah.
And he said juvenile offenders that go to an adult facility have to become conscious sociopaths. Like they got to become so sociopathic. Like I had to become crazy. I always won the crazy contest.
Right. Yeah. I never thought about it like that, but yeah, I did that too. I'm gonna stick my chest out further than you.
My baby, we can never lose a verbal or physical fight.
Right.
And so when that becomes conditioned within your very makeup of how you interact with society and your interconnectedness with the world around you, when you can never lose a verbal or physical fight, then obviously it comes to a point when you come home that you gotta realize you ain't gotta win every fight.
Right.
And then you evolve. Hopefully, if you put yourself in the right trajectory, in the right environment, you come to learn that there is no fight. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
And so in prison, it took till I was about 26 to get to the state of mind to where I stopped studying, like, you know what I'm saying, like the Art of War and Machiavelli and the Prince and 48 Laws of Power, and I started reading stuff like stuff like, for example, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth.
Okay.
Or or different material that was of a higher energy than hate. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And war, which is love. And so when I started being okay with who Mario was around 26, I started, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I started having different mentors,
Okay.
like Esprit Bay, who was introducing me different information and a lot of different mentors. I'm Catholic. I'm inherently, I call myself an apostle, the risen one, but I'm that apostle that chop your ear off if you run up on them.
Okay.
So my point is, I used to have Moors and Nation of Islam. I used to have mentors from across the interreligious type, interfaith type mentors.
Yes, sir.
So that's a whole nother level to where it's no longer about, for example, political party when in politics. The higher you go, it's about that guap.
Right.
So in the spiritual realm, it's no longer about what church you go to, or what religious sect are you from. It's about
find it where we meet at the middle. Yes,
we're all one.
Facts.
You know, you a son of God like I am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You feel me?
Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, it took a minute for me to adjust with that, and then so my routine started changing from running poker tables and trying to hustle that bag.
Now let's talk about that one though. Like I want to hear about that a little bit more. Like how you running poker tables? Like, of course I know, but my listeners don't know about running poker tables in the penitentiary.
So when I hit the yard at 17, the general population, after I did like 387 days solitary from my case, I hit the yard. I want to take college classes and my dad paid for, and I took the GED real quick. I got locked up in 11th grade, so I hit the GED. My father, I'm blessed to have a father that, he wasn't able to be in my life a lot, but when I hit prison, he was there, 6 months before I got locked up, he jumped back in full throttle, but it was a little too late. I had already became what I wasn't supposed to become. But anyways, So he was like, look, I don't agree with what you did, son, and I know you don't like to hear this, but I believe God answered my prayer because I didn't want you to get found not guilty. My first trial was a hung jury.
Okay.
And so he was like, but I won't pay for your attorney for your appeal or nothing, but I'll pay for your education. So I went ahead and enrolled in 2 classes through Ohio University. They would send the exams to the GD principal, and she called me out, and Proctor watched my exam and seal it back up and send it out.
Right.
So long story short, I enrolled in 2 of them, and I found a reason to quit. They wouldn't give me my pre-calculus grad paper, but guess what? I hit the prison yard. They got basketball, poker tables. They got weed everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I was like, shit.
Just the life
so at 17,
out here.
I remember telling my dad, I was like, oh, shit, Dad. I said, and think about this. I still remember this with a tear coming down my eye at 17 years old on a payphone on a prison yard. I said, Dad, I said, what's an education going to do for a murderer? I said, Dad, I'm a convict. I'm going to be the best convict I can be, man. And, it hurt saying that. And so, boom, obviously I was running the yard, I'm Latino and I'm bilingual, so I had a lot of influence. And at the end of the day, I was a lion in the street. I was 16 robbing 30-year-olds.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So you put a lot. You take a lion from the jungle, you put him in a cage in the zoo. What is it?
He's still gonna be a lion.
You still ain't gonna get your ass in that cage.
Still gonna be a lion for sure.
So at the end of the day, I was able, to rise to where my character was already at, where it was destined. And so just like we gifted in many realms, you can use it in different, for the good or for the bad. So I excelled in hustling. I excelled in running poker tables and getting a day every 3 days from the Latino table. You feel me? Yeah. And getting my cut and doing this and doing that and getting the bag. And you know what I'm saying? I created a vending machine business from the inside. Took care of myself the last 7 years. And that was really when I was able to step away from hustling. And but my routine when I evolved to the point where I want to make peace with all men, but kind of like I ain't a killer, but don't push me type shit.
Yes,
where I really started seeking God first and foremost, and getting on my knees and crying to God. I put the towel up in my window, get on my knees and cry to God, say, I love you, but I hate every man around me. Show me how to, for real. I used to cry, but when I hit like 26, 27, 20, I hate every man around me. I got a hate in me. You feel me? So I had to be purged from that, but my routine started where I just started seeking wisdom. So where at 22. When after I was just wrapping up my last year in solitary, I came back to that father that said he'll pay for my education. I said I want to study now, and he was like, it was really autobiography of Nelson Mandela that kind of gave me that paradigm shift. I'm sitting here reading about a man who used to work 15 hours in a coal mine to educate himself so he could free his people, and I'm sitting here, I'm a murderer, angry at the world, and I don't even want to educate myself for nothing. So I really, after reading that book in solitary, I made a resolve that I was going to spend the rest of my time. But at 22, you can see 35. At 16, it's hard to see 35. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, but I made a resolve. I said I'm going to spend the rest of my time becoming more so I can give more to the world around me. And I didn't think about giving more to the world out there. I really didn't think I was going home. You feel me? But I wanted to become better so I can help every man around me become better. So when I asked my dad for opportunity, he goes, "Oh hell no!" He goes, I tell you what, I'll let you take one class. You got to send me every grade." And so I did that. And then he said, "Okay, now you take 2." And I did that. Then he said, "Okay, now you take 3." And I did that. I was getting all A's. He said, "Okay, now you take whatever you want. You got to send me no grade."
Okay, that was good. So
I was able to get an associate's degree. And then when he got that economic downturn in 2007-8, he was like, "Look, man, I can't pay for your schooling no more, but I was just complete my associate." And he was like, but I got this car here for you. I told you I had sitting here for when you get home. I said, well, I need to sell it then. He was like, what are you going to do with it? I said, shit, I got to make money. So I got a vending machine, had it dropped off somewhere. I was able to take care of myself. But guess what? I kept on buying college textbooks. And I'm back on the notepad. I would make like Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. I got to study economics and accounting.
Hey,
and like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday,
thing, bro.
and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I got to study sociology and psychology.
Yep,
you feel me? So I would buy them from Edward Hamilton books, bargain books. They would be college textbooks that was like $300, $400 textbooks for like $50.
Yep.
And so you was talking about how your routine evolved, and that's how it evolved. And I really put everything to the side in terms of playing poker all day and hustling that bag when I was pulled into that program with you and Jackson and I they trained me and then they wanted me to start teaching the youngsters and so I was at a crossroads and you can never pick something new up even if it's of more value until you put something down.
Facts.
And so I literally put all that down because I didn't want to be a hypocrite when I was sitting there up there teaching these youngsters, how to resolve internal conflict and do the right thing while I'm on the yard doing shit that I don't want them to do. So that's really, really what gave me that shift in not only thinking but behavior. You feel me? So that last 3 years, I put everything down and I really started becoming a blessing to the world around me to where at the end, they called me off the yard and the staff asked the ward for my good time back because I had lost all my good time. And so they gave me a couple of years back and it was like, you waived your 30-day notice to see the parole board in 13 days.
Damn.
And so as my internal routine evolved and transcended the very environment that contained us, I think the powers that be started really going to bat for me.
Yeah, that's facts. Because I saw it myself, which is what made me even go to the program. The fact that like there was a real transformation on the yard, but you didn't have to compromise your integrity.
Oh yeah,
what you stood on.
I remember, man, because I remember you and me. We was institutionalized for real.
Yeah,
for real, because it was like, you know what I'm saying? Because we was very straight. It took me a minute, but it was. I'm be honest with you. God utilized Rick as that vehicle because Rick and I, we were best friends. I had met him 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And so at St. Louis level 4. And so I got kicked out. I got kicked out of a prison in Muskegon, and I got sent to JCS. And then and when I came in, Rick was like, "Oh man." And I had always been trying to be a part of Chance for Life, man. I'm no boy. I could never last at a prison to get in there, but
right.
He was like, "Oh, we got this a youngster program starting." So he went to the deputy warden and was like, "Look, I got the perfect guy, man. He's bilingual. He's Latino. He came in at 16 years old. He got a lot of respect on yard. I got perfect person." He was like, "Oh yeah, who is it?" And he said my name. He was like, "Oh hell no." And he had my files on his desk. I had just got there and I had got into it. Remember, with Dreyer. And so I was already about to. He was like, "Oh hell no," because I wasn't, out of the 19 years of incarceration, it was only the last few years I was in level 1.
Yeah.
I was in level 4 and level 2 most of the time. So he was like, "No, he ain't built for this place. He ain't staying here." And so it was Rick, and Rick never told me that till like 6 months later, till I started transforming. Yeah. Like Rick used to still look out for me when I get the bag. I'm not bullcrapping at JCS. It took me a minute to understand the value of the opportunity that was lying before me, which was to pour into the men around me.
Well, what's crazy about that is I felt the same way about you and Rick, because if you remember when I got there, my brother Sidney was already a part of the program, and you and Rick were at the top. Rick was the chairman, and I believe you were like the co-chair. And my name was popping.
I never became a co-chair.
Oh, you didn't? I know you was like somebody that was well respected in the organization, right?
I was because of my training, I think,
yes,
giftedness.
Sir. Yes, sir.
And so I created the exams and all that stuff and a lot of the curriculum. I modified a lot of it. So I had to, and then I was, the PBF chairman. And then, so, the dep would just automatically call me out there. Okay. But no, I ain't never become really official no position in there.
Yeah, okay. But I remember when I got there, I had the bag, and my name kept coming up.
I remember your energy. I remember you used to always gravitate towards me like,
yeah.
Like
And every time my name would come up, it'll be you that you would come and like holler at me. We'll walk the back 40 and you'd be like, hey, Dig, bro, I see you. Like, I
already
see the
knew you was on the
potential
fence,
in you,
'cause that's
and I
how I was.
see what you still into. Like,
I told you, I said, I am you, man.
yes, sir.
I said, I am you.
Yes,
Trust
sir.
me. I know you.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we connected at. Because every time I was like, bro, I know I'm getting short. Dog, I still got like 5-6 years left, man. Y'all in level 1.
I know.
Go home, man.
I know.
Like,
because remember, they were sending a lot of you guys with 5 to 7 years left.
yeah,
And that's hard. That's hard to walk down a level 1 like with 7 years. If anything more than 3 years in a level 1, it could drive you crazy.
Yeah,
man.
it can. But I went down there to get my time back. Remember, I went down there and gave my time back. Yeah. And then got kicked out of JCS.
I always respected the way you carried yourself, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
It's one thing. It's one thing for sure, though. Like we were so conditioned at a young age. Like you might love me, you might hate me, but I guarantee you're gonna respect me.
You're gonna have to.
And that's exactly how I walk every yard.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And to get so and so then, for example, then you come home to an environment in which those rules of engagement will not take you to the highest level. They will not take you to the highest level. And I say that because you can only rise to the level of the pain threshold that you can bear, right?
Say that
and
again.
so you can only rise to the level of the pain threshold that you can bear. So the level of pain that you can bear, that's how high you can get to, right? And so like I was working for the mayor, man, and for real, man, I gave him my all, but like he talked to me one day like I was a broad dog, and he found out I wasn't. Why? Because you ain't gonna disrespect me. Once again, I needed my pain threshold to rise a little higher. You feel me? You like for us, we're conditioned to our pain threshold is you better not disrespect me. No, man. No, that don't get you to the mountaintop out here.
Okay.
Not out here.
Right. All right. So let me ask you this about your routine in the penitentiary. What about your daily routine is it that you still do? Like, what did you hold on to? What about like who you were in the penitentiary that you?
Definitely my work ethic. You know, I want to get back to working out like I used to and reading like I used to, but you know, being in these master level courses already require so much reading, and then I'm already doing so much reading in terms of becoming the best accountant and tax strategist I can become. But definitely that. But my work ethic is I think like it's like it's physics. It ain't philosophy, and I tell that to everybody, and so that's why my training is geared towards and my workbook is aimed at men 6 months to a year before they come home, because you want to get them into a routine mentally and the way they think and the way they speak, because it's a transition. Like whatever you was doing in there, you're going to continue to do out here. If you weren't doing shit in there and you was just sitting there playing cards and telling war stories, when you come out here, that internal routine that you have is going to be a continuum. Yes, and so the one thing that I think I became it was, you know, my work ethic. I used to wake up 3-4 in the morning and start grinding, reading, studying, and I always felt like I was preparing for something.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Success is 90% preparation, 10% opportunity.
Yes,
so at the end of the day, everybody's going to get an opportunity.
Everybody.
But you know, whether you knock it out the park, like if you only prepare 45% plus 10%, that's 55%. That's a failing grade.
Yes, sir.
But if you prepare, and that's what I'm doing out here. Really, like it's a grace, and it's a humbling reality for me to be able to be the co-founder and co-owner of an accounting and tax strategizing firm that's.
Hold on, man. You're going too far. You're going too fast, man. I got to get to that part, bro. But I want to catch you on the reverse end of that last question and ask you what. Okay, you said your work ethic is what you brought home with you, right? What did you absolutely leave behind?
Wow, what did I absolutely leave behind? It's deep, because I always say this: trauma. You know, the trauma that's been imprinted upon our subconscious minds, and that's going to be with us. It's kind of like when I used to beat them urine drop tests in the joint. Like for example, like I would pound a whole bunch of water and throw up and you know, take 2 hours and I would go pierce and I pass the test. But I didn't get rid of them nanograms from smoking marijuana. I didn't get rid of them. I diluted it. So it's kind of like you got a cup of Coca-Cola, a can of Coca-Cola, and there's only about an inch left. Like you can fill it up with water, but the Coca-Cola's there. You can fill it up with a gallon of water, and it'll be clear. and you diluted it. But guess what? There's still some remnants in there. So I liken, coming home to that diluting process. Like the more, like for example, today, I'm my 6-year-old daughter. She's about to be 6. I'm her soccer coach.
Okay.
You feel me? And so, and that's an inverse relationship to where we came from. So with that being said, the more pro-social, positive, loving experiences that we have out here free, the more we dilute that past. And so I can't say I left anything behind, really.
Okay. I can respect
that. You know what I'm saying? It's diluting. It's being diluted, though.
Right. Okay, let me ask you this. What did you absolutely have to get by in there? Like my answer is always music. But like, what was it that you had to have to get you through? Like your mail, your pictures, your...
Oh, you mean, what do you mean to get by out here?
No, inside.
Inside. Oh, my books.
Your books. You had a nice
I had
study regimen.
I had a whole bunch of pictures and albums and stuff, but I'll be honest with you, I never looked at them.
No.
I never looked at it because I never looked at them. I went through a period of time where I didn't even look at any girl magazines for like 3-4 years. Like I was so focused on keeping my mind trained to be in the moment and not even think about being out there. And that's a good and a bad, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But what I had to have, no matter what, that's why I didn't even care about solitary, was my books. As long as you get I almost took them to court because they wouldn't let me get my college books in solitary. And so I said it was discrimination because they allowed the GED guys to continue. I used their own mission statement against them saying that I said, oh, you want me to get smart, but not too smart then. And so they gave me my college books. That's how much I used to always say, I don't care where you send me as long as I got my books inside my Foot Locker, I'm good.
Hey, that's crazy because you led me to the next part, which I was going to say, what was in your Foot Locker? Did you have a Foot Locker? What was in your Foot Locker, bro?
Yeah, I had two of them.
For my listening audience, a Foot Locker is about a what? Maybe 4 foot by 2 foot little box that your whole life supposed to fit in?
It might have been more about. It might have been like 1 by 2.5.
Yeah, 1 by 3 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. That's everything. Everything that you possess goes in there.
Everything. Your whole life. And I was carrying around 15 years at one point inside of a Foot Locker in a bag. But go ahead, bro. You said you had 2 of them because I did have 2 of them at one point in time too.
Yeah, your legal Foot Locker.
Legal Foot Locker. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but really, you had all your personal in there. It's really just like I said, books and pictures. Like and clothes, I mean, obviously, but the most valuable for me was always my books, man.
Yes, sir.
Always.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So my next question is, I know you did, but your parole board experiences. When you saw the parole board, right?
Yes, sir.
How was that? How was that experience dealing with the parole board?
I tell you what, it was full of grace because it lasted an entire probably like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And
it was a really good experience in terms of being able to, finally, as a grown man, like you commit a crime at 16 and you fight appeal for 10, 12 years. It takes you a minute to accept the realities and own up to it.
Facts.
It takes a minute, but it felt good to finally, to hear from the parole board finally that, you know what, you served your time, and that's what he said. He goes, and it seems like you served your time well. You made
good use of your time.
He said that's exactly the words verbatim. He said you made very good use of your time.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of people just be in there letting the time doing them. You ain't actually using time. Time dictates agenda. So if you got a lot of time on your hands with no activity, then you can create activity to do in that time period. Or you cannot.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You cannot and continue to deteriorate. Because one thing about life is going to keep going. And if you're not improving, then that means that you're deteriorating. You feel me?
Right, absolutely. I did a speech the other day at the Oakland County Juvenile Hall, and it was very humbling. It was like what I was destined to do. I was across the street at the Oakland County jail fighting my case, and I had made a contract with God. I told him, I said, if you save me, I'll spend the rest of my life helping youngsters like me. So I was able to open up, but I opened up by thanking them for for allowing me to use their time and giving me their time. And I made a point. I said, because time is the most valuable resource, huh? So much so that they put you on timeout. They take your time as the ultimate punishment.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
That's how important time is.
So let me ask you this also, bro. Was you a music guy in the penitentiary? What was you listening to in there? Or are you one of those people who were heavy in the music?
Yeah, I had an MP3 player, and I would always listen to. I mean, I was working out a lot, so I used to my thing. I used to listen to Jeezy, and I got locked up, listening to Pac and Biggie. So those were my big ones.
Okay.
And then as I got to become friendly and as a mentor with the youngsters, I started learning about newer rap stars and stuff. But now I'll be honest with you, I'm so conscious on the frequency level in which I vibrate that a lot of the stuff I listen to now is just Christian music in the car while I'm driving. But I can't tell you enough. I always have, sometimes I bounce back to that. I bounce to like right now. I even like Lil Baby. I like a lot of Lil Baby
sure.
now. It definitely like I try to stay away from the drill rap. It's like I said, it's diluting. It'll never leave.
Diluting. It don't never leave.
It's diluting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me hear some of your advantages and disadvantages, man, coming home. Because after doing 19 years, I know them because we get our parole decision about 6 months before we come home. So those last 6 months of your time in the penitentiary, what was you focused on?
Well, I seen them. They had a rush parole decision. So I had like 80 days, 83 days, maybe even 70 something days to prepare. But I started doing 2 days on the workout set, reading more. I think my advantage was having all my basic needs met. You know what I'm saying? I came home I had a little nest egg of money. I had a job opportunity at $10 an hour, and I had my FAFSA, my free application for federal student aid already filled out and sent to different schools. So, on day 9, I drove myself up there, and I had people there to help me get a license so I can have transportation. Okay. So I had huge advantages. Obviously having that associate's degree was a huge jump start, allowing me to graduate within 2 years with my bachelor's in accounting. Disadvantages, I think the biggest disadvantage, is a universal disadvantage in which we're not really prepared pre and post release in terms of the therapy we need. Okay. And I think reintegration, I think requires a preparation phase prior to release. I think that honestly, that only those who've walked that proverbial mile, like you can only lead someone from a place that you yourself have traveled. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So when I'm sitting in front of the reentry coordinator, she asked me, "What do I need?" And I said, "What do I need?" I said, "Shit, for real, it's true story." I said, "If you don't know," I said, "You got a master's." I said, "If you don't know what I need," I said, "We in a world of trouble."
Right. You've seen this
real talk. That's exactly
times.
what I told. So I think that's the greatest disadvantage. It's a universal one in which we're ill prepared in terms of pre and post release, and so I think that's one of the things as individuals such as yourself and myself. I think that the more we succeed personally out here, I think the more the better preparation and the better the ability that we'll be able to have to really impact that disadvantage that's really systemic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So just give me a little bit of what it was for you walking the back 40. Either when you was getting closer to home or the beginning.
No. In the beginning, it was always stressful because I was vibrating to a frequency of more war. And I was young, and so obviously the first 10, 15 years was more stressful. And then as I evolved and became greater and became even my influence started started being focused for helping people. Walking the back 40 would be more like me walking and having an opportunity to pour into a man that needs some guidance. Yes, sir. So it went from a young warrior mindset and, in the beginning years to more so a wise sage that was able to walk the yard and talk with guys and help guys, and even being an intermediary and a mediator for a lot of different conflicts that were resolvable, but it takes obviously the swallowing of pride.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think the wiser we become, the more we understand that pride, is a tool of the ignorance.
Yes, sir.
And there's, and we embrace more so the belief system that blood is bad for business.
Yes, sir.
So that's really how the back 40 evolved for me, the experience there.
Before we
Okay.
leave, give them the
Yeah,
game
no
about
doubt.
your company,
No-
what you're
no
doing
doubt.
right now, what you want to promote, how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah,
Make sure you give them that before we step off.
Okay, no doubt. So I'm at American Dream Financial. We're helping a lot of people, a lot of small to large size companies have their accounting books structured correctly. Throughout the year, we have a membership program. We're at www.americandreamf as in Frank.com. And so you can literally get on there and schedule a free consultation. My calendar is connected to that website. And we're helping, at the end of the day, your tax liability is determined by your accounting. And so we have a lot of tax preparing agencies that pop up, open shop once a year, and they're there to really just have a date. Our company, our membership program, we're there. We marry our clients.
Yes, sir.
We offer the payroll services. We offer a lot of different services, but really we're helping small to mid-sized and large-sized companies mitigate and strategize and plan for taxes the coming year, all the while making sure their accounting books are good, their financial statements are accurate and correct, and really it's really just playing by the rules that the 1% have created.
Okay.
We can't sit here and complain about this or complain about that. We got to look at what the rules are and play by the rules. And guess what? The ones who make the rules are the ones who are really economically sound and are growing consistently. So we just got to mirror that. We don't hate, emulate. You feel me?
Sir.
It's the American dream.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you popping into the podcast, brother. This last segment is called Lockdown. Give them some last words of advice, some last words of wisdom before we leave.
No doubt. The last thing I would say is this. I really started changing the trajectory of my life when I realized that I was where I was because of who I was. And so if I wanted to go to some place better, whether it was a physical place or a metaphysical, then I had to become better.
Yes, sir.
That's the greatest words of wisdom I can convey to you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, brother. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in to 17 Winners with Brother Mike X. Free to Real.
God bless.
Peace.